Hey everyone, how are you doing? I tried to film this intro a couple of times, but as always, once you haven't filmed a vlog in a while, it just feels a little bit weird. And it's so funny when I watch other YouTubers say that. You wonder, why do you need to say that? Because in fact, you know, we wouldn't have noticed if you wouldn't tell us. But I guess we want you to know that we work so hard that we refilm it a few times and we take the time to make it look all right, rather than, you know, some funny, weird intro. So the point being is, today is 27th of November, so I can't believe it, but we're literally days away from spring starting, and I cannot wait coming back to the vlog. So yeah, I missed that sun, and the weather is kind of still undecided. It goes from really cold to a few springy days. Some of my tulips are already out and blooming, and then we have the situation of the cold weather coming and going. Other than that, and just having had a coffee and feeling completely confused because I haven't filmed a vlog in a really long time, and let's just go with it. So I have mentioned a few times that I've been working on something quite big and I couldn't share exactly what was going on. So I think today I'll just share my perspective and a few parts of the process, because it was a very interesting experience. It had its own challenges. So I think this is what I will be talking about today. But I can't tell you exactly what brand this is involving and what exact product we worked on, because it hasn't been publicly launched yet. So in December I was supposed to have a project which involved me driving a couple of hours from where I live to a studio, a huge big studio, and then working on a commission which basically involved creating, you know, socials and I guess certain YouTube footage for that particular product that we worked on. So it's a new product that has been created by this brand. They haven't had this product ever before. They focused on something completely different, a different art medium. When I say art medium, I mean art supplies. They have been known for that specific art supply for years and years and years, and they are the staple company to do that. Sorry if I'm all a little bit mysterious in this vlog, but like I said, I'm not supposed to reveal anything. But I know that I promised some more information to share with you, so I thought I'll just do kind of softening the actual facts for you, but giving you some information. That's that. And then for the new product we worked together, and my job was to create the packaging. So the commission was to create the packaging, but it's not just that. There was then the additional commissions to go on top of it. And I am super hardworking. In fact, I've been working for this company since last year. I think around this time of the year actually is the first commission I've done for them. Then came September, and I had plans to focus on my own business, and I didn't really think I would get any further commissions. There wasn't any talk about it. So really kind of unexpectedly in September they reached out, and then it was one thing after another, and we worked closely together. In the end I got to know the team, and it was a really lovely experience, because I am used to working on my own in my studio. I am my own boss. I don't need to nudge anyone to say, you know, we need to get this done. Equally, no one needs to tell me what to do. So I kind of control the flow of my work. So if there are days where I need to focus on my son's, I don't know, education or his activities or whatever it could be, then of course I will work around it. And you know, freshly cooked food is really important for me. I make my own kefir. I used to make my own yogurt. I make my own kefir grain soda. So there's loads of time and effort that I put into healthy eating, and maintaining that countryside, lovely food and the produce and everything that we have. So for that reason, my business always has been kind of me managing everything and multitasking with other aspects of my life. Once I started doing the commissions, I was enjoying part of it, of course, because you have team meetings and Zoom calls. You get sent these kind of plans of what you need to do, how you need to approach the project, what targets we need to meet, etc. And then talking over the ideas, coming up with them and tying them into the project, as well as keeping in mind they would rely a lot on my knowledge for that specific product as they were new to it. So I felt really like I was in my element, and the whole process was super enjoyable. The only thing I then started noticing is that my own business I really had to put to the side. In between those projects or those commissions, I would basically focus a little bit on my work, and then another commission would come up and then I'd have to drop that and focus on their work. Now, I have never been made to feel like I have to, because they didn't employ me. They didn't employ me as a contractor or a full-time employee. However, of course, because I'm super hardworking, I wanted to show how reliable I was. And I think this is why I got so many commissions in the end, because I wouldn't say no. I was always very keen to help them out, work together, and come to the final part of the project, and that I would do within a certain time. So for example, if they would contact me with a new commission, I would then start on it fairly soon after, maybe within the next week, and that could take a few weeks time to finalize. Sometimes it would extend for a bit longer, which can be a little bit difficult if you have to also work on something else like your own business and you have your own projects in mind. It's kind of like picking something up and sometimes needing to drop it because your priority becomes your client. And essentially that's what freelancing is about, and it's an interesting process. I'm not sure I would do it permanently. Like, I don't think I could ever become a freelancer forever. I would need to have a certain time dedicated to my business, but also when a client turns up, that's you kind of choosing whether you say no, and potentially that could also reflect on how reliable you are. So you probably wouldn't want to say no, you would want to say yes. Oftentimes, how do you juggle the two? I don't think I'm very good at juggling the two perfectly, like balancing things. I think I completely immerse myself into one project and I want to do it 200%, dedicate myself to it, want to do it perfectly, and finish it and then move on to another side of the business. So that's how I have been doing things, and that probably was one of the challenging parts, because I realized I have been neglecting my own business for quite a few months, and whatever I planned in September, basically we came to December and I was like, oh my gosh, I realized the commissions were like loading up. It was becoming like more of them and also more intense. So if before I would be just working in my studio creating a certain illustration, then I moved into the studio, and then eventually there was supposed to be something else which I'll come to, and that was like the pivotal point, I guess, of that journey, and then it was supposed to go slowly down, I guess, but like I said, I'll come back to it. So the studio was really fun. I got to know the studio team and the people that I think they worked with beforehand, creating something else, working on another project. But yeah, it was a lot of fun because this was the first time I worked face to face, whereas before it was me in my studio and just sending work and the original illustrations over to them. But here we basically worked face to face. closely together, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. However, I have to say, because I'm so hardworking, I ended up staying super late the night that I arrived. So what we agreed is I would spend 2 nights in the town where the shoot was happening, and I drove out. It was, I think, 3 hour and a bit drive, and then stayed the night. So when I arrived, it was kind of like late evening, had my dinner, and then went to my hotel room. And instead of just relaxing after that long drive, I ended up working into early hours just on a few more ideas, on a few more illustrations for the shoot. So we started in the studio from the morning, and then it was supposed to be a whole day until I think 6 o'clock in the evening. So that was a long day, and we would have, you know, breaks there. To be honest with you, it wasn't really breaks as such. We just had a very short lunch break. Yeah, and the thing with me, food is always such a thing. You know, I love food, and I love it to be like very good. And I do struggle sometimes with the standards of food. And of course, I'm not going to be making a big deal about, you know, the taste of it or whatever. But to me, to function for so long, for the entire day in a studio on my legs, there was hardly any time for sitting down, because there were so many things we had to accomplish within that day shooting, that you need to put fuel into your body to function well and last that entire day, which I felt the food wasn't great, and so I did not enjoy. Like, that part is always a problem for me, though, not just for this occasion, but when the food is not great, I just don't enjoy it. So that was another thing. And then it basically was a lot of hard work. I have never spent a whole day in a studio. I have spent few hours in a studio before, because I worked in a newspaper and I was assisting editors for the fashion shoot and the lifestyle shoot. So I'm very familiar with photography equipment, studio equipment, with, you know, propping things, making things look good, angles, etc, etc. But this, of course, was different. Rather than shooting a piece of furniture for the interior, or a fashion model for a fashion look, this was like me painting and them shooting it. And also there was an element of video rather than photography. So it was interesting, because sometimes you had to stop if the brush didn't look, or the product didn't look a certain way on the screen. For example, the brush would be pointing in a way that's not looking great on the camera. Then, you know, you'd have to start again, you'd have to change the papers, it was a lot of work that went into it that I didn't anticipate, I guess. So yeah, by the time I was dead, I was completely exhausted, and I felt so tired. So that day was done, and it was a mixture of exhaustion as well as this fun element of working very closely with the photographer as well as with the rest of the team. And it was interesting, and you definitely feel a sense of fulfillment, because you are trying to satisfy the target and what we're trying to achieve. So that was a lot of fun. And then I went back to the hotel, and I took it easy, put my bathrobe on, and just chilled, because I was extremely tired after that. And yeah, I didn't want to drive, so I could have driven home, but I decided not to drive home, simply because I was that knackered. I didn't think it was a great idea for me to drive for 3 hours after such an intense day. And I'm glad that I stayed the night, and in the morning then slept it off and then went back. So this was 2 nights away from my son, who's now 8, and I have never been away from him even for 24 hours. I'm that type of a mom that has to be there all the time. doing all the, you know, the routine stuff, and everything has to be done in a certain way. And when I'm not there, it gives me this sort of weird sense of it's not going to be done perfectly, and it's not going to be done this way, and it needs to be done a certain way. So I was relying on my husband for those two nights that I was away, and it was a very strange feeling, but it was the first time. And I thought, you know, I waited 8 years. I think I can start also focusing a little bit more on my business and on my work, and be more professional. So if it's required by my client for me to travel somewhere or go somewhere, then I will do it, because it's, you know, it's part of working basically. So later in January there was supposed to be another project, which was the big kind of thing that we were working towards, and it's called the Creative World, and it happens every year. I think it happens in Frankfurt every year, and so everyone flies, all the small and large businesses are flying there to the kind of like a trade show where you get introduced ahead of time to new products coming out and things like that. So I don't think public has an entrance in there, only if you are a business, or for example, if you're running a big shop and then you're interested in seeing what's coming from those brands, whether you want stock of that product in your shop, etc., etc. So that's what it is in a nutshell. And I was invited to fly over and represent that product that we worked on. Specifically, I was working on the illustration for the packaging, but then my job would have been for that project is to demonstrate what the product can do. And so yeah, I was tremendously looking forward to it. About a week before flying out, they sent me a schedule which I looked through, and it was quite a how should I say, it was a very strenuous schedule. So if this was just one day and I felt exhausted in the studio after it, then I was supposed to fly out on a Friday morning and come back home on a Tuesday evening. And then I was supposed to go straight from the airport on Friday to the Creative World, and then be kind of introduced to everyone face to face. We were kind of going to focus on what's going to happen for the next 4 days. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday and Tuesday would have been early morning to the evening, full on day. The other thing is, we were going to do everything together. Obviously would stay in the same hotel, then we would take the same cab, then would have breakfast at the Creative World, and then work, and then lunch together there again, then work, and then would take the same taxi, go back to the hotel, freshen up maybe for half an hour, and then dinner together, and then back in the room. So basically it was an extremely long day times 4. And I think on the last day we were supposed to check out at a ridiculous early hour. The point is, it was a very, very strenuous schedule, and I thought I could do it. I thought it was going to be very hard, given how you wouldn't have much time for just kind of, you know, coming from working in your own studio, have your zen kind of environment, and focusing on levels of work. So you slow down where you need to, you go high energy where you need to, and you just kind of balance it eventually. This would have been 4 days of extremely hard work, with the extra 5th day of traveling there as well. The other thing is the pavement. So I charge a certain amount per hour, and having counted the hours that I would be spending to work for them and travel there, which obviously means it's taking me away from my studio and the time I could have invested into my own business. So I had to count all of that in, and just based on hours purely, I would have been underpaid. The number that I gave them originally, which I thought was I would be happy to be paid that amount for 5 days. And again, it's not just in my own comfort doing an illustration or whatever is asked of me, but it was quite a strenuous working schedule to deliver. So based on all of that, I gave a certain number, and that was out of their budget. They gave me their number in return, and that was, for me, heavily underpaid in my view. I just realized my memory card got full. So I felt I was heavily underpaid, but because I've been working with them for so many months, I thought, okay, look, we worked almost a year together on all these different commissions and projects, and it's been a joy. So, you know, I don't want to say no to that, and because I've been working on everything else towards it, I thought I'd be the best person to finish this job as well for them. So I said, okay, based on our relationship, I will do it for you, but you know, it's not kind of how should I say, that hard work was paid out. And I understand them, they obviously have a budget and they have a large team, so it's not just me that they're flying out there. They would cover the tickets, they would cover the hotels, the food, although again, I don't know what kind of food we would have. I'm generally, you know, I enjoy a certain type of food. I wasn't really thinking that that would be probably at that standard, but nonetheless, it would have been, we would have been fed and we would have had a place to sleep. So that would have been all sorted. And imagine doing that, I think for 7 or 8 people altogether. It would have cost them a ton of money. So I understand that they have a certain budget and you have to be reasonable. And again, it's your choice. It was perfectly fine for me to say no from the beginning and say, look, I have other plans and I'm sorry, but I can't do it. And they could have found someone else to do it, I guess. Basically, then came Thursday, the night before flying. And I had some sudden, very strange, like terrible stomach ache, and I felt horrendously bad. Like I was super dizzy, I was nauseous, it was not pleasant. And the aches were so painful. I was like seriously thinking, it's something like, shall I take myself to the hospital? I was like thinking, what is going on here? So I was a bit worried because it was obviously the night before I need to fly out, and I was packing my suitcase, and I just needed to finish packing. And at that time I was seriously questioning, is it just some sort of a stomach bug that will, you know, I just need to sleep it out and it'll be okay in the morning, or is it not? But I felt so unwell, like really dizzy, really, I couldn't walk straight. I was not in the right physical state at all to be going anywhere, like traveling on my own. I felt very uncomfortable and in a lot of pain at home, which is your comfort, you know, your comfort zone. So I was really worried, and my husband was kind of very optimistic, saying, don't worry about it, just sleep it off and then tomorrow you'll be fine. But I was thinking, how will I be fine? Like, hopefully I will be fine, but what if I am not? What am I going to do? And so we had everything arranged. He was going to take me to the airport. So everything was put in place for me to basically do it. So suddenly I started having this panic attack of, first of all, not feeling well and thinking, oh my gosh, will I be able to, you know, be there and give all the work that is expected of me, knowing how tough the schedule was going to be, as well as feeling super guilty for, you know, letting down them, letting down my husband. I always feel guilty for everything, even though I shouldn't. Actually, this mentally really shook me up. And so I decided, look, instead of flying there, staying sick in the hotel room, I thought, it's better they save whatever money they can from like cancellations of the flights and whatever. And I just messaged them in the evening saying, look, this is what it is. I don't know. I feel like I'm worried that I won't be able to fly out, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, back and forth, we decided that I think they checked on me next morning asking that they can postpone the flight. So they cancelled it and they could get me another flight, another little break. I think this time, what was it? Is it the battery or the memory card? One of the two. So anyways, yeah, so we tried to kind of see what would be the best thing. And then I was still not feeling great in the morning. So I was just, yeah, mentally, I think now I was physically as well as mentally impacted. So I said, I'm so sorry, I just can't do it. So I felt horrible after it. I really did. It was so annoying that I worked towards it and I've done my best, and in the end I just felt like I couldn't bring it to the end, which I really wanted to. So yeah, for a good few weeks I was really carrying that around me, and it really sort of messed me up, I guess, within my drive and everything, and I just had to take a break from work entirely. And this is when I started clearing things out and organizing, going into cooking. Like literally there was one day when I thought, you know what, I'm gonna bring my son to school. And then I went to like 3 different grocery shops, came home, started making pasta, like, you know, with the pasta machine, and made some raviolis and made this and made that. And it was like, and a cake. In one day I made like 3 or 4 major dishes that you would do one in a day normally because they take so long. So yeah, I was just going through something where I felt like I need to find my center, like, who am I? What do I want to do? And what can I do? And what should I be doing? And I really felt quite upset. I am okay now, I think. I'm just kind of, I came to terms with it, and it is what it is. You know, things like that happen. I know me. I know that if I could find any energy in going and still taking that trip, I would have. But I just knew that if I did go, it potentially could have been a lot worse. So knowing that I am flying out on my own, I mean, Germany is not a problem for me. I lived in Hamburg for 6 years, so I wouldn't feel like I'm going somewhere, you know, very far where I don't know the language or something. That wasn't the case, but it's and I was looking forward to see Frankfurt, a little bit of it as well if I could, but I don't think I would have seen any Frankfurt apart from that creative world, because there was no chance for me to explore on the day when I'm arriving or on the day when I'm leaving, apart from after the dinners, which I think I probably would have wanted to crush anyway. So it is what it is. Like I said, I'll show you and explain to you more. Well, I guess not explain. I don't think there is any more explanation that needs to be done, but I will be showing you the illustration and the packaging, etc. once it all comes out. I have it now because obviously I've been working on it, but I can't reveal it. So yeah, it is what it is. I have to let go of that situation because I feel like I worked so hard on all the other projects, and I need to be able to not blame myself for things like that. I'm someone who is very reliable, super hardworking. In fact, I've got to say that on the day when I was supposed to fly out, I was still not feeling great at all. All I wanted to do is just to stay in bed, but I forced myself out, and with a water bottle on my lap. So I sat at my desk and I've done, I think, 3 different illustrations. Yeah, that took about 3 to 4 hours. And because, I mean, I didn't have to do it. They didn't ask me. They said, just rest it out. I did suggest that I can do it. They said, look, you know, for us, the most important thing is that you feel better. So just, you know, you don't need to do anything. But I felt like that's the least I can do because, you know, they obviously would then have to find someone to cover for me, and who are they going to find so on such a short notice? So I felt so bad, and I thought, okay, let me do something, you know, that at least I would feel like I've done something towards it. So then I decided I'm just gonna create 3 different video footages of working on this 3 different illustrations, and at least they could maybe like play it on their laptops at the desk and kind of show people. I've done the videos really crisp, really professional, good, perfect lighting, beautifully shot, and I didn't ask them to pay me at all for it. I just thought, you know, if they're willing, they will do it, because I was willing to fly out there for pretty much almost half the pay that I was expecting. So I thought, what would be for them, you know, paying me for 3 or 4 hours, however long it was for this work. But no, we will leave it at that. And in general, I feel happy for doing all those commissions, but I think now I'm also happy to focus on my own business and kind of make it grow a bit more. So I have a few things here, and you might wonder what they are. Some trays that I ordered on Temu, and Temu is fantastic for much cheaper prices, but the quality for certain things is still quite good. So I have ordered these different compartments. So this is a plastic acrylic box, so it looks like this. They're quite decent looking. So I've got 3 of those, and then a different size but the same style are these ones. These I'm intending to use for my watercolor draw, which I have some time, so I might do the watercolor draw with you. So that's for that. I measured it all up. We'll see how it works, because you know how it is. Then I found this tray, which I ordered for my porcelain watercolor palettes. So we'll see if it works or not, but basically the idea here is that I will put the palettes like that. I was showing you in the other vlog where they're kind of stuck one on top of the other, and to get to the one that's at the bottom is like near impossible. So I will tidy up that area there and then have them displayed like so, so it's easier to get, or probably not like so, but like this way, so you can see them all facing you. This one I ordered for my nail polishes. Then I also ordered these trays. There's one long one, and that will go into this cabinet, which looks all a bit of a mess at the moment. So we'll see how that will work. So I've got 2 like these, and they're stackable, I think. No. Okay, I thought that they stay on top like that, but they go all the way down. In comparison, you can see slightly bigger, but not that much. So, like that. Those are for my acrylic paints and whatever. So the idea is that I'll have all the art supplies in those trays, and then I can just take the tray out, put it on my desk, put it back in, so that nothing individual is in the cupboards and in the cabinets, so that everything can be easily taken out in the tray. The final thing that I have ordered are these. So I've got 1, 2, 3. So I've got the black ones for my kitchen downstairs. I don't know why I went for black in the kitchen, but for here I went for white. So what they are is a kind of like a shelf, and you can pull out this side to extend the shelf. So what I'm intending to do is I'm going to pull it out as long as I can. So currently my cabinet shelves are around this height. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little space here, and then some bits that I could put underneath, and kind of divide the shelf a little bit to add more space, so I could separate things. You know, sometimes you just put things on top, Now this helps you to put things underneath and on top and get easy access to those items. So that is what I will be doing. I also ordered a book with Modigliani art, but that just arrived and I haven't had a chance yet. I kept taking it from one room to another thinking I'll sit down and read it, but every time someone would disrupt me and I wouldn't be able to focus on it. So this book is about the painter and his art dealer, and it looks quite good. I like there's a couple of my favorite paintings of his, but not all, so I'm still looking for another book. I'll show you my favorite, or one of my favorites from this book. I quite like this painting here, and then the cover as well. The cover is here. I love that there is focus on the face, and somehow he manages to bring emotion to the face, but the eyes remain black. And the reason he would leave the eyes black is so that to kind of say, you know, the eyes are the mirror of the soul, and so I don't know you and therefore I wouldn't paint your eyes, something like that. So, and that's the one from my postcard here. So yeah, that's that. And I don't know how long this video is, but I'll try to show you a couple of things, at least a few trays. And I think I'll dedicate tomorrow a whole day for organizing all the cupboards, and I might pop the camera on the tripod and share a few bits of that as well. We're getting there. I can't pull it out too much so it doesn't fall out here, but it comes out completely, this drawer. So as you can see, this drawer is very deep, and I have all sorts of different trays here, and it's just not working for me. It just doesn't look great. So I'm hoping to get these smaller ones, which I showed you before, and then the longer ones as well. So these ones, I don't remember how I measured them in, but somehow they're supposed to fit in and hopefully will look nice. Just measuring up now, it seems that these two trays fit in perfectly here, and I would need one extra for this area because it's too long. And if I put this one up here, then we would need that one there, if that makes sense. So somehow I had something else in mind, I guess, or I miscalculated it. So, but that's not a problem. I can always order an extra one. So I'm going to empty things and see color-wise what works the best for me. Then let's do purples. Like that. There's another purple. So these are much nicer and more convenient. And these are actually stackable, so they sit perfectly on top of each other if you need it. Yeah, that is looking much nicer. So the other tray I could use for my, remember these? My palettes. So I could just pop them in here. My handmade watercolors. Or I could do like that. And they could stand up. So I'm just going to carry on, and then probably will take a quick shot to show you where I am at. What I'm missing is one of these trays. I mean, if I could find two perfectly sit there, it probably would be even better, to be honest. These fit in perfectly into my tray lengthwise, and then the other one went just above here, giving me this space left right at the back of the tray, the drawer, and I've got about an inch left of the wall there. So I think the space is used up pretty well. And if I put one of these here, I probably also have about an inch left on the side there. And these, I'm not sure what to do with. So I've got a gold, and I've got some extra bits and pieces here, like the art graphite. So I might find some new places for it. And there's a white here as well. But that is it. So the drawer for my watercolor tubes is finished, and I will carry on with other things. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.